Hi, I'm Owen Canfield with the opinion page of the Oklahoman, joined today, as I am every Friday, by Michael McNutt, our chief Capitol correspondent. Michael, thank you for being here as always.
You bet.
Let's talk about a couple things that went on at the Capitol this week. One we touched on a week ago was the lawsuit reform bill that was passed. Tell us a little bit about where that stands. I guess it's on a fast track to the governor's desk. Am I right?
Well, first it has to go to the Senate, and it should pass the Senate with relative ease. The Democrats would, again, argue against it, and
right.
But the Senate, controlled by Republicans, will pass it and will go to the governor's desk. We expect that to, like you say, fast track. It'll probably be one of the first bills that the Senate will take up, probably mid-month.
In a nutshell, what would the bill try to do to change the current legal system in Oklahoma? I know that's hard to do in 50 words or less, but what are some of the top items that Republicans really want to see changed?
Well, the Republicans, the main thing, I guess, the governor has problems with is they want to cap non-economic damages, $300,000. They still say that if you have punitive damages, they did take out the original House bill, capped punitive damages at $2 million. But during the House debate this week, they introduced an amendment and took that out. So they're not capping punitive damages or medical expenses. But non-economic damages, they want to cap at $300,000. And the other thing the governor is concerned about is this opt-in, opt-out clause.
For class action lawsuits.
Class action lawsuit. Right now, you're automatically in. You have to opt out. The Republicans want to reverse that and say that to be in a class action, you have to opt out.
You've got to opt in.
Opt in, right.
You've got to choose to be part of the class action as opposed to just being part of it automatically.
Right now, you get a letter, and they tell you all this in legal, language, and then if you don't do anything, you're in. Right. What the proposal is that if you get a letter saying there's a class action suit to be in, you have to respond with a note or an email or something.
Right. There was a proposal that would remove the state sales tax on groceries.
Yes.
Which would put a significant dent in the state budget. Of course, times are tight. We're in a budget hole here. Do you see much chance for that making it past the governor's desk? It certainly will get there.
It'll get there, and I think Senator Crutchfield, he used to be a chairman of the Appropriations Committee in the Senate. The Democrat basically called that a fairy tale.
Right.
And it'll pass. It'll get to the governor. It's a 5-year plan. Just remove the state sales tax. The city and counties could keep their sales tax on groceries, but altogether it's $300 million. It's a 5-year plan, but in that 5th year it's $300 million, and we're already $900 million whole.
Right.
And even in good times, what do you do to make up that revenue?
Right.
And nobody's got a solution.
Sure.
So yeah, I think the governor's going to have to, unless there's some plan to make it revenue neutral, what they call revenue neutral, some other way to generate $300 million over the next 5 years.
You mentioned solutions. There seems to be a bill out there that makes some sense regarding driver's licenses.
Yeah.
This bill would change the rule as it stands now that gives you no grace period for if your driver's license expires because of the lawsuit or the immigration reform measure passed a couple years ago. What happened was now if you go in a day late, you've got to go find your original birth certificate or any kind of different paperwork that makes it a tremendous burden on everyday Oklahomans.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And it's been people have been up in arms ever since that law was passed a few years ago. This bill would change that, am I right?
Yes, this bill would give people a 30-day grace period.
Right.
So, but still, if you were pulled over and your driver's license expired, you could still be getting a ticket for driving. So that wouldn't eliminate that, but it will give you 30 days to, let's say your birthday's the end of the month, and that's when you check your driver's license. Or something comes up and you can't get there within, immediately by the end of the month.
Right.
This will give you 30 days from the end of your birthday month to get your driver's license renewed.
Now, a bill that maybe create a little more concern regarding driver's licenses is a bill by Rex Duncan of Sand Springs that would ban the wearing of any headgear when you're having your driver's license photo taken. And this is a big deal because there's folks of different religious persuasions who must wear their headgear outdoors. And that's why it became an issue recently at the Department of
Public Services.
Public Services, or whatever it's called.
Yeah. Public Safety.
Public Safety, thank you. Talk about this bill and where you think it may end up. Do you think it'll end up getting passed?
Well, first of all, it's got to find a Senate author. It passed the House 88-8. Now it's in the Senate. The Senate author has taken his name. He's backed off.
Right.
Mainly because this was an amendment by Representative Duncan. The bill itself is kind of a cleanup language bill,
Right, sure.
But the DPS wanted, and I couldn't begin to explain to you what it is. Just all inside baseball kind
Sure.
of stuff. And but then the during committee, Representative Duncan, it was right after that woman in Norman.
Right.
After a couple of months, was denied permission to get a picture photo of the driver's license with her headgear on, her scarf, hijab, and DPS relented and said, "Okay, yeah, come on in."
They figured out a way to fix
Yeah,
it.
they said it's religious.
Sure.
Which is going. Most states, I'm told, have exclusion for religious
Right.
headgear, where there's none in the Catholic Church
Right.
or any faith that requires some type of turban or scarf
Sure.
or anything like that. When you see people who wear turbans in public,
Right.
that's how you're usually going to recognize them.
Sure.
You know, so it's an issue that's in the Senate right now. They've got to find a Senate author before it's going to get in the Senate floor. Still could go to committee, I think, without an author, but it's going to need some sponsorship, and we'll see what happens.
Bears watching.
Oh, sure.
Well, as always, thank you, Mike, and please continue to read about these stories in the Oklahoman every day and check for them every day on News OK.
Let's see it.